Hello, everybody. This is Maxine Taylor, and I have our astrological overview for January 2021. Today is January 1st, the start of a grand new year. We have left the past behind and we're moving forward. I feel that this year we're going to be making a great deal of progress, but that will come after the first quarter of the year. And I will be explaining this in greater detail as we move forward. A couple of announcements. If I have not yet done your forecast for the year, just go to my website, MaxineTaylor.com, place your order, and as soon as I hear from you, I will get back in touch with you and tell you what the turnaround time will be. And everybody wants their chart now. So I am doing my very, very, very best to get those readings out to you. I'm also writing 2 books, an update on an astrology book and an update on my move into the magic book. So I've got a lot on my plate and I know I can do it all because being a Gemini, we are mentally ambidextrous. So a couple of other announcements. I'm not going to be doing Trumpology reports anymore for obvious reasons. Trump lost the election. He will no longer be president after the swearing in on January 20th. So there's no reason to focus on him any longer. He won't be going away. I just won't be talking about him because he's no longer president. I probably will not be doing Biden reports, however, because what you see is what you get. And Biden has already expressed what he's planning on doing. It's quite different than what the previous administration has been doing. And I will be, of course, bringing updates on the United States at various times during the year as we make progress. And we are going to make progress. So that's what I got to say about that. And so many people, and I'm one of them, are looking forward to a new year. Now, let's talk about what's going on. First of all, there are a couple of dates that I want to mention to you because these dates they're important. Naturally, well, let me back this up just a teeny tiny bit. Mars has been in the shadow of the retrograde. It went direct back in November. And after a planet goes direct after being retrograde, it moves into the shadow of the retrograde, which means it feels like it's retrograde, but it's not. There is a shadow before it goes retrograde and after it comes out of retrograde. And the first week of January, and today is January 1, yes, Mars is still hovering on that cusp of being in the shadow. After the 4th, just a few days from now, 3 days from now, it moves out of the shadow of the retrograde and things will start moving forward. After that, we'll feel it. Okay, so a couple of dates to be aware of. And I'm going to, for the sake of those of you who are astrologers or are astrology students, I'm going to give you the astrological significators. Those of you who don't study astrology will probably not know what I'm talking about, so I'm going to explain it, all right? Because I want you kept in the loop. Let's see now, where shall I start? Okay. When Mars comes out of the shadow of the retrograde, it begins moving forward. It's not like the sun. It doesn't speed, even though it's Mars, because it's been in the shadow of the retrograde. Mars is going to be conjunct Uranus. Conjunct means right on top of. And this applies to everybody. I don't know where this is going to fall in your particular chart, but the entire world is going to feel a Mars-Uranus conjunction. Mars is war, Mars is action, Mars is gunfire, Mars is sex, Mars is passion. And Uranus can be explosion. So there's a certain volatility around the 19th and 20th. Well, the 20th is the day that President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris are sworn into office. It is the inauguration day. So there's going to be a certain amount of volatility around that. You get what I'm saying? Good. Okay. Now, Uranus will go direct on the 13th. And of course, that's a little, I jumped ahead to the inauguration date because everybody's interested in that. Mercury, I'm going to back it up just a teeny tiny bit. All right. I'm kind of doing it backwards because I wanted to talk about inauguration. Mercury, the planet of communication, correspondence, and transportation, is squaring Mars on the 8th. And so Mars is fighting, Mars is war. So they're going to be fighting words. There may be communication, there may be problem with travel as well, but things are starting to heat up. They'll probably heat up around, the 6th and the 7th. This can be a war of words between people, arguing. It could be a time when there is a call to arms. I certainly hope not. And on the 14th, Mars is conjunct, meaning next to Pluto. Now, both Mars and Pluto rule Scorpio, the planet of the sign of all or nothing, the sign of secrets. Mars wants to hit it hard. Pluto wants to be in control. When Mars sits on Pluto, there can be a major explosion of some sort. Now you might say, well, that could be anywhere in the world, and that's true. And you might say, well, there's always some sort of explosion somewhere in the world, and I would agree to that as well. However, this January is a very volatile time for us in the United States, and as a result, the ripples, of course, are felt, and not because of the United States, but because of the times we are in. So that's what's going on. Now, let me talk about the Sun and Venus and Mercury, and a little bit more about Mars. The Sun, the giver of life, the center of our universe, is in practical, logical Capricorn. I love it. It means take it conservatively, take it traditionally, don't get all carried away. And typical Capricorn, you don't mope, you don't hope, you cope. On the 19th, the day before the inauguration, the Sun moves into Aquarius. Now, Aquarius is co-ruled by Saturn and Uranus. Saturn says practicality. Uranus says, let's bust loose and do it immediately. Let's out with the old, in with the new, is more Pluto. But Uranus wants, Aquarius wants to do it suddenly and unexpectedly. When the Sun moves into Aquarius, we have the combination of the Saturn rulership and the Aquarian rulership. I hope this is making sense to you. So we're hitting the brake and accelerator at the same time. And Aquarius is a very humanitarian sign. So it thinks of the whole. Capricorn thinks in terms of the leader, the leadership. It deals with government and tradition. Aquarius says what's best for the whole is best for the individuals within the whole. And so the day before the inauguration of Biden and Harris, the sun moves into humanitarian Aquarius. How appropriate. How very appropriate. Okay. Venus, the planet of love and money and beauty, is in Sagittarius. And Sag wants to be free. Sag says, I see a larger picture. I've got a vision. And that's beautiful. On the 8th, Venus moves into, I don't mope, I don't hope, I cope, Capricorn. So the Capricorn vibe is still there, easing the Aquarian, the solar entry, the sun's entrance into Aquarius. And so there is a certain amount of tradition that is still there, adding stability. Now, Mercury, the planet of communication, correspondence, and transportation, is in Capricorn. So we're thinking traditionally on the 8th, the day that Venus leaves Sagittarius and moves into Capricorn, Mercury moves into Aquarius. And so we're thinking of the whole. We're thinking of what's best for everybody, not just a small select group. I love this. I bet you could tell. I am so excited about all of this. The only thing is this: Mercury enters the shadow of the retrograde. You knew I was going there. Those of you who study astrology, you knew what I was fixing to say, because you know that Mercury goes retrograde 3 times a year, and you've been looking in the ephemeris and you know. So Mercury enters the shadow of the retrograde on January 15th. So it's hurry up and wait. You know what I mean? Those of us who are very sensitive, and you know who you are, you start feeling the shadow the minute it starts. It feels just like Mercury is retrograde. And my suggestion then is to treat it as if it is retrograde. Now, it actually goes retro on January 30th. Okay, we got that. It goes direct, and I'm going to move ahead into the next couple of months because I want to give you the whole picture. Mercury goes retrograde January 30th. It goes direct. That means it comes out of retrograde on February 21st. Now, while Mercury is retrograde, we do not begin new projects. All right? We just don't. Why? Because if you start something under a real sure enough Mercury retrograde, it either fizzles out completely or has to be redone within the year. During the shadow, it is a lot safer to start a new project because Mercury is not retrograde. It is simply signaling it's pending retrogradation. I hope I didn't make up a new word there. All right, so Mercury goes direct February 21st, and it comes out of the shadow March 13th. All right? I feel like after that, the confusion, because there will be confusion for the world in one form or another while Mercury is retrograde. After it comes out of the shadow, after it goes direct rather and comes out of the shadow, then we'll be able to move forward. In addition, I talked about Mars just a minute ago. Mars has been in Aries. Let's do it now, Aries, but it's been retrograde. And so we have, when I say we, I mean the whole wide world, have been very frustrated. If you've been following my astrological overviews, you know that I've been talking about Mars in Aries wants to do it now, but when it's retrograde, it flatlines. Nothing moves forward. A lot of talk, no action. Mars is action. Okay. I told you that it moves out of the shadow of the retrograde on the 4th of January, just a couple of days from today. And on the 6th of January, it moves into Taurus. And Taurus is a very practical sign that takes it one step at a time, puts one foot in front of the other. Taurus rules money, values, possessions. So it's not that impatient. Mars and Aries, I want it now. I want it. I want what I want when I want it. Mars and Aries. It's very practical, very logical. And once again, those of you who are incredibly sensitive are going to be feeling it. Now, let's talk about the new moon and the full moon. The full moon in December was just a day ago, a couple of days ago. So we're moving up toward the new moon on the 13th. A day or two before the new moon, which is when energy starts moving forward, we're in what's called the dark of the moon. And in the dark of the moon, energy is low because the moon rules function and form. Nothing's functioning. Nothing's happening. This new moon is in 23 of Capricorn. Find 23 Capricorn in your birth chart because that's where the energy is going to start moving forward. All right? It could be in your second house, could be in your 10th house, could be in your 7th. Wherever it is, you'll find that you start making progress in that area of life. And then 2 weeks later, we'll have a full moon in 9 degrees of Leo. Now, on the full moon, everything pops, everything comes to a head. And just before that, when I say just before, I mean like 2 days before the full moon. And remember, the full moon will not necessarily occur on the same day for the entire world. Because, well, I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia. You may be in Tokyo and you get your day first, right? Or Australia, which is, I think, 14 hours different than Eastern time. So you'll have to kind of play with the date. The full moon on the 28th here in Atlanta is at 2:16 p.m. I didn't mention that the new moon on the 13th is at midnight on the 13th. So you're going to play with that. You're going to change that to your time zone. So back to the full moon. Find 9 degrees of Leo in your birth chart. Give yourself about a 5-degree orb. So if you have anything in between 4 Leo and 14 of Leo, when I say anything, I mean the sun, Mercury, your natal moon, sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, any of the planets, midheaven, ascendant, vertex, nodes, anti-vertex. That is, if this full moon sits on anything in your chart, making a conjunction, you will feel that very strongly and you'll be able, it comes to a head. So get clear on what you would like and use the power of that full moon to your advantage. And I think that's just about all I got to share. I'm going to be going over, I'm going to be doing, going over and doing videos on all 12 signs as soon as I post this to YouTube. So happy, happy New Year to everybody. And may the stars shine brightly on you and yours. Bye for now.